ClickUp wants to be the one app to replace them all. They literally tell you this on their website. And for project management and daily productivity, this is true. But when ClickUp starts promising that they're the ultimate CRM or the best ERP for manufacturing, then you know something's up. The truth of the matter is that ClickUp isn't designed for complex systems. It's built in a way that's fundamentally different than a database tool or a system of record should function. And I should know, over the past 3 years, I've helped hundreds of businesses choose the right software for their business and get it implemented and automated. Here's what I've noticed. People who love ClickUp keep it simple. The ones who can't stand it are almost always overcomplicating things. Now, before we get into the details, I want to mention I'm not against ClickUp as a platform. ClickUp is an amazing project management tool. They give you so much value for their subscription, and if you check out our videos on other project management systems, you'll see that we rank them at the very top. Everything in ClickUp revolves around a rigid system of tasks. That means your clients, tasks. Your events, tasks. A sales deal, still a task. There are no true records, no entities. There's no such thing as a database table. It's all just lists of tasks. And each of these tasks comes with dates, time estimates, priorities, time tracking, assignees, whether they make sense for what you're trying to build or not. So if you're trying to build something more like a record or an object, you'll have to choose. Ignore these fields, repurpose them, or find a way to hide them. The funny part is that ClickUp is aware of this problem. They let you create custom task types to help build out the functionality of any system. But even with custom task types, you still can't remove any of the core task features like assignees or due dates. So instead of implementing an actual structural fix, they just added a classification naming layer. And these tasks are nested under lists, which makes sense if you just need some simple checklists of tasks. But what if you wanted to have your projects as lists with each of their tasks underneath? Well, then you'd be limiting yourself since lists don't support the same features as tasks. You wouldn't be able to have custom fields, true status fields, and access to the same views that you would for lists. ClickUp arbitrarily made the decision to treat lists differently from tasks. Whereas in Monday, we could have boards of projects and boards of tasks, or in Airtable, we could have tables of projects and tables of tasks. Either one of these platforms would let us treat projects and tasks as equal objects. Instead, ClickUp assigns such narrow definitions to its workspaces, spaces, folders, lists, and tasks architecture. And it doesn't end with tasks and lists. Agencies love using ClickUp, and ZenPilot, one of ClickUp's top partners, has a popular blueprint that they call the best hierarchy for agencies. You might have seen it. Spaces for growth, delivery and operations, folders for clients, lists for projects, and tasks for deliverables. To ZenPilot's credit, this is as solid of an architectural pattern as you can design for ClickUp. It feels organized. Every client gets their own little home. But under the hood, this structure creates one of the biggest scaling headaches inside a ClickUp: duplication. Every time you onboard a new client, you're not just adding another folder, you're duplicating your entire system. All your custom fields, automations, integrations, dashboards, everything gets copied again and again. Want to tweak a workflow? You have to update it in every client folder. Change from how a project moves to in progress to review? You'll need to touch a dozen separate automations. Adjust a time tracking integration? That's another dozen fixes. It's like managing 50 slightly different versions of the same operating system, each with its own quirks, bugs, and exceptions. And over time, those little inconsistencies start to compound. Client A's dashboard shows differently than Client B's. One automation fires and another doesn't. You think you're scaling your agency, but in reality, you're really just increasing your maintenance workload. The irony is that this hierarchy feels clean and organized, but it actually fragments your data and workflows. You're not building one agency operating system, you're building 50 clones of it. And that's the real trap with ClickUp's traditional agency hierarchy. It looks scalable on the surface until you try to change something. Let's say you're trying to build a basic CRM in ClickUp. You've got companies, and each company has contacts and deals. It sounds pretty simple, right? In Airtable, this would be 3 linked tables: one for companies, one for contacts, and one for deals. You can link them together, roll up totals, see all deals tied to a given company, and even calculate revenue projections automatically. It behaves like a real database. In ClickUp, you can kind of fake it. You make a list for companies. Each company is a task. Then you make another list for deals and another for contacts. And you manually link each deal and contact to the right company using ClickUp's relationship feature. Now here's where things start to fall apart. ClickUp's relationships are one way. That means when you link a deal to a company, the company doesn't automatically know about that deal. unless you also create a reverse link manually. There's no automatic backlinking like you get in Airtable or any real relational database. This creates a huge data integrity problem. If someone updates the link in one direction and forgets the other, your data is immediately out of sync. The company record might show one set of deals, while the deal record shows something completely different. Even when you get all the links right, what do you actually get? Let's say you want to show the company's info, phone number, website, industry, right inside of each deal. In Airtable, you'd use a simple lookup field and those details appear automatically. In ClickUp, you'd have to use a rollup, but ClickUp's rollups are barely functional. You can only display one field at a time and only in the list view, not on the task itself. So if a sales rep is looking at a deal, they still have to click into the related company task just to grab a phone number. And it gets worse when you want to do something actually useful, like calculate the total value of all open deals for a company. In Airtable, you'd roll up all the linked deal values, then use a formula to compare that total against a revenue target or credit limit. And ClickUp can't do that. The rollup field can show you a number, sure, but you can't use that number in a formula. You can't subtract it from anything. You can't group, filter, or build a dashboard off of it. It's just a static value floating in a column. You can see this same pattern play out in budgeting workflows too. Let's say you're managing events, and each event has a bunch of linked expense tasks. You can roll up the total cost, but you can't subtract that total from your budget field because, again, rollups can't be used in formulas. You can't even show that total inside the event task. The only place it lives is in a list column, completely disconnected from where your team actually works. So you end up patching it together with automations, sending data through Make or Zapier just to copy values between fields. And if something breaks, you won't actually notice until your numbers are wrong. That's the story of ClickUp over and over again. The features all exist on paper, relationships, rollups, formulas, but none of them actually talk to each other. And until they do, you can't treat ClickUp like a true database. You're just maintaining a series of linked to-do lists that constantly need manual upkeep. And these aren't edge cases. This is what CRMs, ERPs, inventory systems, even applicant tracking tools rely on. Interconnected data, linked records, aggregations, logic. ClickUp doesn't fail at this because of a few missing features. It fails because it was never designed to do it in the first place. You're trying to build systems on top of a project management app. A really good one, to be fair, but it's a task manager and not a database. And yet, ClickUp is out here advertising ERP use cases, manufacturing, finance, operations, the kind of work that lives and dies on structured data and system logic. If you've tried to build those systems in ClickUp, you already know what happens. Endless workarounds, dummy tasks, external spreadsheets, broken automations, and messy workspaces. You want to build a system, but you end up investing in a lot of duct tape that barely holds it together. ClickUp is still one of the best tools on the market for project management, but when it tries to become everything else, it can't hold up. If you want to learn more about what ClickUp is great at and see how it compares to competitors like Airtable and Monday, check out this video. I'll see you in the next video.